What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is 3:59 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, March 16th. We are counting down the seconds until the NFL New Year begins. I need a Breech. I need an actual second clock. I don't have mine's not working. It's 4 o'clock.
Happy New Year!
Brinson
literally drinking at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday.
It's like
Classic Brinson.
It's like a sip of nice whiskey. I thought we'd celebrate the New Year. Ring it in, baby. New Year has begun.
You won't believe this, but I hate New Year.
That is the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
By the way, look at my new coffee mug, suckers.
Oh, look at that. My man, Chris Allen, delivers.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris is the man. Chris lives.
He is unbelievably awesome. He also sent me a note that I think I can read on air.
Wait, did he? Is it? Do you know what he sent me?
Hopefully, hair plugs. Let me read the note before you tell the story about you. Ryan, sorry this took so long. Chris, P.S. Please don't mock Kenny Pickett to the Panthers. I don't take bribes, but now I take bribes. So if anyone doesn't want me to do a mock draft that they hate, just send me a coffee mug.
You know what? He said. So Chris sent me. Chris works at New Belgium. He sent me some beer, some of their new beer, and a note. There was a handwritten note in there that said, "Hope you can enjoy this while watching NC State play in the CBI." Oh wait, did they even make it there? Up high, down hard. Brutal, man. No, they didn't even make the CBI.
No, he's telling the truth. Also, I saw one of your little prospects just leaving too. The transfer portal sucks.
Oh yeah, we're toasting in basketball. Anyway, nobody cares about NC State basketball. It is
also happy League New Year to Julio Jones, who's about to get cut. ESPN.
Oh. Okay. There's a lot happening,
right?
So the Broncos officially have now traded for Russell Wilson. Obviously, we knew that was going to happen. At 4:03, they're going to have a press conference with him. As Breech points out, the Titans are planning on releasing Julio Jones, and it sounds like the Deshaun Watson trade is going to happen soon. In what?
We've been saying that for days.
No, but Jay Glazer, who's as plugged in as it gets and knows, I mean, the team's involved. He knows these guys, and he is reporting that I believe the exact quote was
tonight or this
teams involved in Deshaun Watson trade believe talks. Teams involved in Deshaun Watson trade talks believe an answer is coming perhaps as early as today/tonight. So hit that like button if you're in the chat and make sure to hit the subscribe and hit the alert button so you'll know when we go live for Deshaun Watson emergency podcast when that happens sometimes in the next, we would assume 12 to 24 hours. It would be freaking fantastic if the teams involved could get down to business and trade Deshaun Watson before March Madness, because nobody wants to spend their time. Like Tom Brady already ruined the brackets. Deshaun Watson doesn't need to ruin March Madness. So get down to let's get going on it.
Down to business. Bounce.
Of course, Brinson wants Wright State's game ruined tonight. You know, there's some Wright State fans on this podcast, Brinson. They're playing tonight. Why do you want Deshaun to ruin that?
I got to bet on that game. I bet Bryant. #for the culture.
Breech, if you went to college, you would have gone to wrong state.
That's so funny. My brother actually went to Wright State. And he's offended by your statement.
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
He doesn't. 100% not.
I just talked to him right now. He is.
Reminder. Also, if you are listening or watching, we want you to compete with us in a bracket challenge game. I'll be in there. Wilson will be in there. Breech will be in there. And we want you as well. Join us at cbssports.com/pick6brackets. Go do it right now. Join. There's a link in the chat. There's a link in the episode description if you're listening on your phone and not watching on YouTube. And the winner is going to win a $100 gift card to Paramount Plus. Tons of great stuff on Paramount Plus. Champions League, CONCACAF. You can watch March Madness. You can watch NFL games. You can watch the new Scream. Serie A is on there. Tons of stuff.
By the way, I encourage everyone to join that bracket because I did it this afternoon. And
winning.
I can't remember because I haven't watched college basketball in about 4 years. I have to go back and look. I didn't pick chalk. I did every random team. I had a couple random 11 seeds winning or whatever.
Wilson is just like the
lady
who works in your office.
I'm like the octopus that they do at the zoo where he picks the picks, but I'm worse. So anyway,
you know what the octopus usually does pretty well.
Hold on, Breech. Let me finish, Breech. Thank you.
I love that octopus.
Very rude to interrupt. My point is that if anyone who joins this bracket beats me or cannot beat me, then they should have to pay us $100 to watch Paramount Plus because I am truly and utterly terrible. If you want to feel better about yourself, join this bracket because there's no way I'm going to win. Go ahead, Breech.
Why wouldn't you just steal the octopus's picks if the octopus is so good? You know what's funny is that I joked earlier this week about what would happen if I won the pool. Well, one of our listeners, Tim Holsinger, pointed out that Debo actually won the pool last year. Did we all forget this? I don't know what happened.
I smoked everybody. Smoked
Debo
everybody.
Did you get a gift card?
And
No.
Tim pointed out that Devo did not get the gift card because Tim won the gift card. He finished in second place. So actually, you might not even have to win the pool to get the gift card because if one of us wins, the second place person wins.
That's a selfless act by me. And
Very selfless.
You're the
Paramount Plus
podcast, Debo.
Anybody that knows me, greatest streaming app out there. It's a great prize. But Brinson, I feel like we're at the point where you have to throw something else in there for the winner.
Why do I have to do that?
You just do.
The NC State helmet.
Okay, because it appears that the Early Edge crew is giving away.
They're fronting their own stuff.
Are they doing your laundry for a week? Is that the winning?
Yeah.
They'll
You get
come
a
to your
video
house and
shout
do your
out.
laundry.
You get $100 cash from Mike McClure. Sheesh.
We ain't got Mike McClure money. Let's be honest.
yeah, I'll give you $10. $3.50. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to tweet out this link. Free agency. Say something, Wilson.
Oh yeah. If so Mike McClure's giving away $100, maybe. What do you think? Brinson could give away one of his little bags that he puts his wigs in when he puts them in the washing machine.
Something hair related.
Spell his name out in hair.
Oh, come on.
Ugh, that's
What a serial killer thing to say.
What?
That sounds like something Brinson would do.
It doesn't sound like anything anybody would do. What?
Well, one person it sounds like.
Yeah, right. That sounds like something Breech would do, maybe. Okay, so a notable today, Chandler Jones, 3-year deal, $17 million, give or take, I believe is the number reported that he signed for, and that's a pretty big get for the
couple things
for the old Oakland Raiders.
Las Vegas. A couple things.
Vegas Raiders, I'll never be able to stop doing that.
No.
Someday you'll get it correct.
I mean, I had a swear jar for calling the Washington team. You're like 3 years behind on Oakland.
Vegas has been there forever too.
But the word, I don't know if it's happened yet, but the word on the street is that they're going to trade Yannick Ngakoue to the Colts, and Rock Yassin is going to be part of that trade as well. So they're shoring up the defense, I guess. I mean, Chandler Jones is upgraded over Yannick, I think. They cut Max Crosby as well.
No. They cut Carl Nassib.
Carl Nassib. God, that would
Crosby
be
a $100 million extension.
Wrong white guy. Sorry. That would be something that they cut.
That would be a bad thing if they cut.
I'm just gonna correct because we'll have comments. Nassib.
Nassib.
That was Max Crosby's the absolute wrong name. Nassib is a mispronunciation of Carl Nassib.
Yeah, and that the Julio Jones release, by the way, will be designated a post June 1 cut. So they will the Titans will save
not a whole lot.
$8.4 million on the salary. Oh no, they'll carry an $8.4 million cap hit, and they'll save $11.513 million in 2020.
All right, before looking, if you know it, then it's not. I couldn't remember. Do you know what the Titans gave up for Julio Jones last year?
Second round pick.
2 draft picks, but I don't remember which ones.
It was definitely a second round pick. I don't know what the other one was. So second round pick for what felt like. Did he have 40 catches? I don't know if he had 40 catches. It was
he didn't have a.
He was injured a lot of the season.
It was very little production. Well, I knew he was injured. That's sort of my point with the 40 catches part. Second round
31
pick.
catches for 434 yards and 1 touchdown. That was a disastrous trade.
Not a great trade. And you already had AJ Brown on the roster. Why are you getting another AJ Brown? Hindsight. I get it.
Well, I mean, AJ Brown did go down for a while. By the way, if you're in the chat, if you're watching live, smash that like button. Do we have any Brinson Sucks hats to give away, Debo? We haven't given away. Do we give them all away?
I promised one on Twitter in addition to the Paramount Plus gift card. I promised one Brinson Sucks hat.
For the bracket. Yeah,
the
join
bracket.
the bracket. There's a link in the chat. Debo put it in there from the Pick Six account. Okay, so let's get
We're going to have to
down.
mass produce these Brinson Sucks hats.
Well, that's fine. Let's
Got
get
Lewis
down
on
to some more business. Von Miller, I swear, my wife is just unbelievable. Like I told her the podcast is going live at 4:00. She starts texting me like Instagram links at 4:09. It's unbelievable. I'm trying to make sure we don't miss anything, any news that comes across, because we could have the Deshaun Watson stuff pop at any moment. Chandler Jones
Rich is on it. He'll know.
So and we'll circle back on Chandler Jones in a second, because I want to talk about the AFC West as a whole. Nathaniel Hackett just dropped an S-bomb in his first few words during the Russell Wilson press conference. He said, "Wow, come on, y'all. Holy cow. Russell Wilson, holy bleep." That's fun. Von Miller, according to a report from Ian Rappaport of NFL Media, is expected to go back to the Rams. There was buzz earlier in the week that he might land with the Cowboys after they lost Randy Gregory to the Broncos.
They didn't lose him. They knew where he went.
Right. Oh, the Bears have released Danny Trevathon.
All right, just focus.
Okay, I'm just ripping off the news as it comes through.
Yeah.
But the Von Miller front, it was Jane Slater of NFL Media reported on whatever today is, Wednesday morning, that the Cowboys just had sort of come to the conclusion they weren't going to be able to offer as much for Von as the Rams were. And so that's why that's fallen through. Man, that's a big deal, especially when you factor in how, like, the fact that, as we learned on All Things Covered, the All Things Covered podcast with Patrick Peterson and our pal Bryant McFadden, a part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network, that Demarcus Lawrence was insulted when the Cowboys offered him 1 year, $10 million. He said, he was like, "Go ahead and cut me because I'm out of here if you're trying to do that." He eventually took 3 years, $30 million because he wanted to stay in Dallas. I mean, if they'd botched the Von Miller, if they'd botched the Demarcus Lawrence thing and lost Randy Gregory, the Cowboys would be in big, big trouble.
Yeah, that's Andy Dalton money, number one. 1 year, $10 million. I mean, that is disrespectful on a number of levels. But the thing is, like, Dan Quinn's still there. He didn't go anywhere. So that helps. But you can't field a defense without players. So I don't know what plan C is now. Von Miller's indeed going to resign in Denver. And
Von actually told
in Los Angeles,
sorry. And then that Randy Gregory ended up in Denver because of the little clause there. So I don't know what plan C is in terms of edge rushers. Draft, I suppose.
Von Miller told CBS Sports NFL insider Josina Anderson, of course, we do the Thursday podcast during the season with Josina on this very feed. If you've watched the show, you know that Josina has multiple phones, and she just tweeted out, "Von Miller to me on the phone while on vacation regarding his football future. I want to figure it out with the Rams first and foremost because they've been real good to me. On the slim chance that can't happen, then I'll explore all my options." So,
Brinson, she did not just tweet that out. She tweeted that out on March 9th, last Wednesday. And I dropped that in there.
If you keep reading, you will see that.
Instead of stealing the quotes I dropped in Slack and let me contextualize them, I was going to say that he made this quote last Wednesday, and then we heard all this, "Oh, he might go the Cowboys, he might go the Broncos," when really nothing's changed, and it's pretty clear that his first choice is to go the Rams, and if they offer him enough money, that's where he's going to go.
Thank you, Breech, for misleading. Very classic Breech, misleading tweets in Slack instead of just reading the tweet on the podcast and talking about it when it was your turn to talk.
Just so we're clear for people who are listening, Slack is sort of an inter-office messaging system, number one. Number two, here's exactly what Breech. Here's what Breech said right underneath the tweet. That's from last Wednesday, so nothing changed, even with a bunch of rumors coming out this week. Maybe this
Brinson ignored my follow-up Slack comments.
Maybe it's in a white font on Brenton's Slack, so he couldn't see it.
All right, so we mentioned the Deshaun Watson thing. That's going to be coming. It said there are 4 suitors for Deshaun Watson. They've narrowed it down. We have the Carolina Panthers, who have been pursuing Deshaun Watson for quite some time now. We have
They feel like they're trending down, by the way.
They do feel like they've lost ground. Some people got mad at me because I said that when they signed Donta Foreman, right, which is just, I mean, it's not like that big of a signing. But the thing about Donta Foreman is he was drafted the same year as Deshaun Watson by the Houston Texans. It felt like Deshaun met with the Panthers and he's like, I just don't know if I'm like as comfortable with the roster. And they're like, I know what we'll do. We'll get a backup running back. That, like,
You're the king of conspiracy theories, more than even Breech, which is saying something.
That feels like something David Tepper would do, though. I mean,
Monte Foreman's pretty good. He had a good year last year.
Yeah, he's a good backup to Christian McCaffrey. A nice compliment to Christian McCaffrey, actually.
Yeah. I think that's right. All right, who's next?
So we're down to Panthers, the Saints. Saints flatlining, I think, or have been sort of even the whole time. The Cleveland Browns, who met with Deshaun Watson today.
Slight incline.
Just the fact they were able to get a meeting says something. And we'll get to Cleveland's quarterback in just a second. And then the Atlanta Falcons, who are
on a rocket ship, apparently.
Just snuck in at the last second and kind of.
And by the way,
hold on this.
I will admit that I was apparently, I don't know how math works. Yesterday's podcast, I was like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Arthur Blank and Arthur Smith gave me the hold my beer reference.
Yeah. I found out today. What?
Own it.
Yeah. I mean, it was already been reported by Josh Kendall at the State, but nobody had really noticed it. I tweeted it, and then I think it picked up steam, like the Ari at PFF tweeted it out as well. But yes. Matt Ryan's contract, the restructure that was widely reported last week, has not actually gone through, which is a huge deal because it saves the Falcons if they have, I believe Chris Mortensen reported this, maybe Schefter tweeted it out, but the Falcons have told Matt Ryan that they are looking into Deshaun Watson and that they're keeping the lines of communication open. And so that's where sort of like there's going to be this quick domino thing that happens after Watson ends up going somewhere, because you have Matt Ryan, you have Baker, and you have Jimmy G, these fairly high profile quarterbacks, all in this sort of holding pattern. And we don't know where they're going to go until that all breaks down. Anyway, so we have the Browns and then the Falcons. The Falcons, as we pointed out, so here's the thing. We don't know. We know that each of the four teams went to the Texans with their best offer, right? And that they said, all right, here's what we can give you for Deshaun Watson. Then at the same time, Watson met with all four teams. He's going to come back and Watson and his reps and the Texans are going to huddle up. And this is the part we don't know. Are they going to huddle up and break down sort of like all the possibilities, or is Deshaun going to show up and be like, hey, here are the teams I'm willing to go to, and then the Texans pick the best possible package in return? Or is Deshaun going to show up and say, this is the only team I want to go to, and the Texans are like, okay, well their package is pretty good, we'll take it? Like how do you think that plays out, Wilson?
I think JJ said this. Jonathan Jones said this on HQ a couple days ago. Deshaun has all the leverage. I mean, the only players that have leverage in the NFL are primetime quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, now Deshaun Watson. Russ Wilson had some leverage, clearly. Tom Brady, to an extent, although we're now finding out that he really didn't want to be in Tampa Bay, and he's still there, so we'll see how that plays out. But again, a wide receiver doesn't have leverage, running back doesn't have leverage, and edge rusher doesn't have leverage, so on and so forth. So here's the thing. He can go wherever he wants to go, and the Texans may have to eat some of what they were hoping to get in return by way of compensation. I still don't understand why, like on paper, the Browns is the best landing spot. I get the weather and I get the division. I don't know how many more wins. Actually, I do know, because our buddy Stephen O sent it out. So let's look at it.
Okay.
So let's go through this. How many more wins do you think Deshaun Watson gives the Falcons, assuming Matt Ryan is the quarterback if Deshaun isn't? So I'll give you the baseline. Matt Ryan next year.
Okay, so Watson versus Ryan.
Yeah, so next year, this upcoming season, Matt Ryan starts. Stephen Ellergat Sportsline did the simulations. 5.9 wins with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. How many does Deshaun give him?
7.4.
Wait, what was Matt Ryan?
5.9.
Oh, 8.
8.1.
Wow. That is an insane number of insane.
I mean, Stephen O he's a math guy. He knows what's going on, but I just don't know about all the other moving pieces with the salary cap and all the other stuff. I don't know if he's just subbing out Matt Ryan for Deshaun Watson. I get it, but I'm assuming there are going to be some other hits that team's going to take because of salary cap reasons. We'll find out. But anyway, that's the baseline. So the Saints, whoever the quarterback is, Joe Smith, 8.9 wins with the Saints right now, which is insanely high. But what do you think Deshaun does for the Saints. 8.9 to what? Brinson.
Deshaun to the Saints. The Saints were 8.9 before?
With Joe Smith is the quarterback. Joe Schmo, whoever you want to call him.
I mean, 12.3?
Breech.
8.9 to 10.
11.1.
Oh.
So split the difference
Brinson
on that
wins.
one.
Wait, so he only that seems weird to me that he raises the Falcons.
Well, I think that
Maybe
team's-
it's the same. Is it about the same, or am I?
It's 2 games there, and it's a
Okay.
2 and change in Atlanta, and then
2 even?
yeah, it's about 2.
Okay, so he's worth. Isn't that weird that he is worth more to? He's like a better above Matt Ryan. That's a real insult to Matt Ryan.
Well, again, there's nothing going on with that team. That's the point.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's the team.
So one more thing, Sam Darnold, if he's a starter, God help us all in Carolina. They're at 5.8, 1/10 of a win less than Matt Ryan, by the way. 5.8. What did Deshaun Watson get them to, Brinson?
Sorry, I said again. I was laughing.
5.8 with Sam Darnold.
Okay. 8.9.
I'll go 8.
9.1.
Wow.
Brinson wins in a.
I mean, Stephen O needs to show that to David Tepper, and then it's just take all of our picks.
So the bigger takeaway that I was getting to is that I don't know why you would want to go to Carolina or Atlanta based on everything else around them, which is not a whole lot, and why you just wouldn't go to New Orleans or Cleveland. But I get there are other mitigating factors closer to home. Maybe you're more comfortable in one of those cities. I get all that. So we'll see where it ends up. And it does feel like right now Atlanta, based on media momentum and nothing else, feels like the favorite.
Well, and let's not forget too that with it all depends. Like, what do these teams try to sell Deshaun on? When they met with him privately, they're like, look, here's how you'll work on our offense. Is Tepper like, look, Matt Rule? I mean, hey, Matt, could you step out of the room for a few minutes? He's like, listen, do you need this guy gone? You want this guy finished off? We've got you covered. So I think that the selling point is how you would kind of get to the Falcons or the Panthers and the geographical location and proximity to home. I mean, you're basically going to have, if he goes to Carolina, it's going to be, this entire stadium is going to be jam full of Clemson fans every week, Like a bunch more Clemson fans will convert to being Panthers fans if they aren't already because of Watson being on that team.
And
you have trouble selling out the stadium, though?
I mean, when they suck,
it's sold out. You guys were talking about how this is all going to happen. I think the Texans wanted Deshaun had to pick these 4 teams. This isn't like Deshaun said, the Texans don't want to be cornered to where, hey, this is one team and it's got to be this team you've got to make a deal with. And I think they basically decided that, hey, these are the 4 teams that Deshaun has approved, and that's why he met with all 4 teams. So I think he would waive his no trade clause for any of these 4 teams. And so I think if you're the Texans, you're going to take the best offer on the table.
I would push back on that just a little bit, if only that I think he could come out of these meetings and say, you know what, I didn't like what Cleveland had to sell. So I'm not going to waive my no trade clause for this.
Well, I would say the flip side of that is that I don't think he has all the leverage, because if the Browns offer 1 first-round pick and the Panthers offer 3 first-round picks, there's no way the Texans are going to pull off a trade with the Browns, even if Deshaun wants to go to Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I do think there's going to be some negotiation between the Texans and Deshaun about where he ends up.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I do think if they come back and he's like, look, Atlanta can offer us 2 firsts and 2 seconds. They won't give us Kyle Pitts. And Deshaun's like, yeah, I told him not to give you Kyle Pitts. They keep Kyle Pitts on the team. And then they're like, the Panthers are offering us 3 firsts, Derek Brown and Bryant Burns. Like, we can't send you to Atlanta, knowing what that is. And then it becomes like, Deshaun's like, okay, I mean, I'm sort of fine with Carolina, but not really. I think that part will be tricky. Like, if he comes back, he's like, I will not waive my no. I think his agent will probably be pretty firm about their preferences, but maybe offer 1 or 2 teams, right? I mean, you can't come back and just be like, here's the only team of those 4 that I'm willing to go to. That would be crazy. Unless it was the Falcons, or, as Jim Trotter of NFL Media pointed out earlier in the day, or if San Francisco somehow got involved and he's like, look, I don't care that how he picks. The only place I'll waive my no trade clause to is San Francisco. I mean, that's getting that no trade clause in that contract is now looking extremely massive.
Yeah, otherwise they ship him off to I don't even know where.
All right, so
the CFL.
Final predictions. because this is probably the last time we'll podcast until the emergency podcast for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I bet. All right, give me the team and the time. Wilson, the time, like what? When does this deal go down, and who ends up acquiring Watson?
Browns 11 p.m. Wednesday night Eastern time,
AKA hell.
Yeah, that's why I did the not because of the Deshaun Watson trade. I think that'll be interesting. But I'm going to go outside the box and go with the Browns. That's the dark horse.
You know what? The Browns actually play the Texans in 2022. Interesting. Maybe that will keep you
definitely factors into Deshaun's. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, I think Deshaun will look at the schedule and be like, I can go back and extract vengeance on my
100%. He's not looking at the
But
schedule.
also the Texans will look at the schedule like, yeah, we don't want to see Deshaun this year, so we're going to not ship him to Cleveland. You know what? Yesterday I said the Panthers. Now I'm flipping my answer. Am I second? Prince is giving me a face.
I'm going to go second, so you can't steal.
What? No, you can't steal my answer.
Wait, leave us your prediction in the comments on YouTube for who gets Deshaun Watson, and you can add the time on there too. I'm going to say, see what time would annoy my wife the most. I will say 7:43. I don't know if that's enough time to huddle up with the Texans. I'm going to say 8:55 p.m. in the Falcons. All right, Breech.
It's just straight up stealing from me. I mean,
you knew I was going to go Falcons too. I could see it in your eyes when you started talking.
Well, Breech made a mistake by asking you. You just got to scream it out loud, Breech.
Yesterday I said I felt like the Browns were the wild card, and I feel like that is where Deshaun probably wants to go, except the Texans don't want to send him to the AFC, and so the Browns are going to have to.
But here's the thing, Breech. He has a no trade clause, so he can just sit there and say, okay, I set out 1 year.
And the Texans said you were going to approve each of these 4 teams, and the Falcons are giving us the best deal, so we're sending you to Atlanta. And if you're going to be proud about it, then you know what? You just sit on the bench for another season, buddy.
I think they said they weren't going to be willing to do that.
I was going to say they're the losers there. Like I said, I think Deshaun has a leverage.
I think
he doesn't have all the leverage.
He has 95%.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
I think it's been told to the Texans. I think Nick Caserio has been informed that ownership is tired of the questions, and that they are tired of, or maybe informed to Easterby or whoever, they're tired of the questions about the quarterback, and they're tired of paying money for a guy who's sitting on the bench generating nothing but bad press.
All right, so Brinson, you have the Falcons. Wilson has the Browns. I am going to say at 9:41 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Deshaun Watson, which maybe will stick around forever, gets traded to, I'm sticking with my answer because Brinson stole. I'm going with the Panthers. I'm going to say David Tepper got on the phone and said, we'll give you whatever you want, Deshaun. I will write you a blank check that the NFL doesn't even know about. I want you in Carolina, and I want you to be the star of this franchise for years to come. And I'm one of the richest owners in the league, and your
true?
wish is my command.
By the way,
so I think the Panthers.
Okay. Nick Gann in the comments asked, can somebody tell me when teams must be under the salary cap? Everybody had to be under the salary cap at 4 p.m. Eastern when the new league year starts. I'm not even sure what the penalty is if you're not under the salary cap. What happens?
100 lashes.
I think it's a classic, like if you violate practice rules or whatever, usually the punishment you can get fined, you can get docked draft picks. It's probably depending on how egregious the violation is. Like if you're $40 million over, they might say, all right, you lose your first round pick. But if you're $500,000 over, it's all right, you get a $500,000 fine. But you know what? I don't think that has happened since ever. Like I can't even remember a team ever not being compliant.
I know.
And you know, the thing is, Matt Ryan has that $47 million cap hit.
Penalties for violating or circumventing the cap regulations include fines of up to $5 million for each violation, cancellation of contracts, and or loss of draft picks.
That'll get your attention.
Yeah. So in other words, they could, like, you know, if the Texans were over the salary cap, they're like, we are canceling Deshaun Watson's contract and he's a free agent, like, you know, or however they want to do it. So that's kind of spicy. Trent Brown scheduled to visit with the Seahawks. Oh, there's one more question I wanted to get to. Pokey asked in the comments, question about Watson. Can he decide the only team he wants to tell Houston I'm only waiving my clause? Yeah, I mean, that's what we sort of talked about that. Yes, he could do that, and he could work with the team that he's being traded to, and I'm sure he would be telling them that. But I do think the Texans are going to, extract a fairly high price from whoever they're going. Like they're not gonna give up Watson for a first and 2 seconds just because he's only refusing to
Russell Wilson.
Right. That's if Watson says I only want to play for the Browns and the Browns are only offering 3 second-round picks, the Texans aren't making that trade. Like,
yeah, but the Browns aren't going to do that.
Well, I'm just saying that means that Watson doesn't have all the leverage. They're going to have to get a respectable deal from the team Watson wants to go to.
Yeah, but I don't think
Liam Russell asked what are the repercussions. We got to that.
But the Browns wouldn't agree to a deal, or the Texans wouldn't agree to let the Browns meet on a deal if there weren't some framework of compensation in place. I think that's been reported.
That's right. Okay.
Keep up.
We are going to take a break. And when we come back, we have breaking news on a premier pass rusher signing in free agency. And neither of you two are going to like it. Next. Zadaria Smith is signing with the Ravens, signing back with the Ravens, his original team. After being released by the Packers, he got a 4-year, $35 million deal per Adam Schefter that can go up to $50 million. That is a pretty big grab by the Baltimore Ravens, who have now added,
Marcus Williams.
Thank you. Marcus Williams, a safety, and Zadaria Smith. That should improve their
Morgan
defense.
Moses.
Yep. But not really going to help their defense. But yes, Morgan Moses. That should help the Ravens defense. Where are you guys at as it relates to the AFC North? And this can sort of segue into a Baker Mayfield conversation because the Browns clearly, all right, let's do this in 2 different ways. Let's do it with as Ryan gazes off at Champions League. New league year, he's just watching soccer.
I'm just waiting for you to finish your thought.
How do you think the AFC North shakes out if Deshaun Watson's on the Browns? And how do you think it shakes out if Jimmy Garoppolo is on the Browns?
Oh, God, come on. Exactly. That's the exact right response, Breech.
Well, I mean, they're two. I mean, I'm just saying. All right, so here's the latest on Baker Mayfield, just to set the stage, because we had we heard from Chris Mortensen on ESPN on Wednesday afternoon. He got on there and he said that the Browns and Baker Mayfield, he was referring to Diana Rossini. He's like, as Diana said, he's like, the Browns and Baker, quote, they're breaking up regardless of Deshaun Watson. And then he said, the Browns, quote, want an adult at quarterback. Ouch. And then said, Jimmy Garoppolo is one I would not ignore for Cleveland. So mapping out those 2 different, and again, this is sort of how the dominoes are going to work. Deshaun Watson has to be traded before Matt Ryan could, like the Colts aren't going to make a quarterback move until Deshaun Watson's traded, because they may go after Baker. They may go after Matt Ryan. They may go after Jimmy Garoppolo. Remains to be seen.
If you're the Colts, you are praying that Deshaun Watson gets traded to the Falcons, because Matt Ryan seems like your best option.
I don't hate the idea of Baker on the Colts. So
I don't think Baker's a bad idea. I don't think Garoppolo's horrible. But Matt Ryan's horrible.
I like Baker the best of the Colts, actually.
Ooh, I like Matt Ryan the best there.
All right, well, we'll get to the Colts in a second. Actually, I guess we can do it now, and then we'll get back to the AFC North question.
Yeah, we can talk about the Browns.
Okay, all right. So, how would you rank the 4 AFC North teams with Deshaun Watson on the Browns, and then rank them with Jimmy Garoppolo on the Browns?
Well, if Jimmy Garoppolo's on the Browns, they're going to finish in last place.
Okay, that's fine. Because
as we sit here, I'm referring to Stephen O's numbers. The Browns are predicted to finish in last place by a full game, by the way, with Baker Mayfield. I think we can all agree. Is Baker, he's an upgrade over Jimmy G. Does anyone disagree with that in Cleveland? Healthy Baker.
Maybe it's a lateral move. I'm not going to say that Baker's an upgrade.
I think Jimmy G
has a tiny upgrade, if anything.
I think Jimmy G has no chance last year on that team.
Baker, I think Jimmy G is better on the Browns than Baker was last year, especially assuming he's healthy. Baker banged up was a disaster. Anyway, rank your teams.
They're in last place with Jimmy G because they're in last place with Baker, according to Stephen O.
Okay.
And with Watson, interestingly, I will say this: the AFC North is extremely tight in terms of predicted wins. Like,
did Stephen O send that out too? Good.
Yeah, they're like the Ravens are predicted to finish in first place with either 9.8 or 9.7 wins, depending on who.
Stephen, a friend of the show, great dude, noted Ravens homer, like a wide open Ravens homer, like he's not shy about it.
Yeah, but this is just the math. I mean, honestly, the Ravens are 9.7 with Deshaun Watson as quarterback. The Bengals are next at 9.6. No, the Ravens 9.7. Just listen, let me finish. Okay. The Bengals are right behind them at 9.6. Then the Browns are at 9.6 as well with Deshaun Watson, and the Steelers at 9.5. And the numbers, the reason the numbers change, Brinson, is because when Baker's the quarterback, it messes up the percentages just a little bit. So
you said the Ravens with Deshaun Watson is what I was saying.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Yeah.
With Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, the Ravens are predicted to win 9.7. But they're all extremely tightly packed with Deshaun Watson in that division. I think Deshaun probably makes them the second or third best team. Maybe by the time it shakes out, the Steelers are probably looking at last place with Deshaun Watson. I think with Jimmy G that the Browns are last place.
To answer your question concisely, Brinson.
Thank you.
I will say the Browns are last place. Last place with Jimmy and third place with Deshaun. And that could be the one thing Deshaun Watson's thinking about with these trades is if I go to these NFC South teams, I have a great shot of making the playoffs. If I end up in the AFC North, I might be the third best team in that division because it's so stacked. So that might play a part in his decision of where he wants to go.
I mean, the Browns could easily win the division with Deshaun. I don't think that would be shocking.
Not easily. What does easily mean percentage-wise to you?
I mean, 30%.
Okay, no, I'll give you that.
I mean, I just think like the Raven. If they get Deshaun, I would have the Ravens, Bengals, and Browns pretty closely clustered. Yeah, and then the Steelers a tier below them until we see what we're getting from Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, we know what we're getting.
If the Browns got Jimmy, I would have the Bengals and I still think Ravens are probably my first bet. Then I would have the Bengals are right there with them, but a little bit below them for me. Then I would have a good tier down, Steelers and Browns kind of clustered together, because I think if the Browns stay healthy, they can do what Kevin Stefanski wants to do with Jimmy Garoppolo, like they did with Baker. I mean, bootleg him out, have him, throw on play action, run the ball a ton.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather be on the Browns team with Deshaun Watson and potentially the good offensive line, the running game, the good defense, and they'll figure out the wide receiver position? They're going to cut Austin Hooper too, we just found out. Or would you rather be on the Falcons team that's going to, 70% chance to go to the playoffs and you get blown out 40-3 in the playoffs because you're on a terrible football team?
Don't know the answer to that. I think I would rather be, if I were picking, I would pick the Falcons. I think if I knew that Kyle Pitts wasn't getting traded, I would not pick the Panthers. I'll tell you.
Is there some conversation that he might?
Well, what are they giving up?
Like Texans might want Kyle Pitts. What else do the Falcons have to offer?
That's the whole point.
What do you want in Deshaun Watson trade?
So the only reason to go to Atlanta if you're Deshaun Watson is because it's close to your house for commuting purposes, is what we're saying.
So yeah, I mean, no. I mean, I just think I would rank them. I would be interested in the Saints. I mean, New Orleans is an awesome city. You have the chance of Sean Payton possibly coming back. You have a good, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara around you.
Michael Thomas isn't coming back.
You don't think so?
It sounds like he's not.
Okay.
Well, then throw him in the trade. Put him in the
There you go. That's the smartest thing you've said all day, Breech.
Thanks, Wilson. I mean, I knew I would say something smart at some point.
If I kept talking. The Texans said they want they want players on their first contracts. They want young players on their first contracts in return. So I want hair, but guess what? Right. I just think I would, if I were ranking the NFC South teams, I'd probably say New Orleans and then Atlanta and then Carolina pretty far. I just don't think Carolina's got maybe Carolina is a playoff team. Atlanta or Carolina. So with Atlanta, you at least, if you have Kyle Pitts there, you got some decent pieces on the offensive line. You're mobile enough to avoid a ton of pressure that like Matt Ryan gets hit with. You're going to deal with probably next year not being very good because of the dead cap space with Matt Ryan. But you're probably going to go out and re-sign Julio Jones.
But would you agree that if Deshaun Watson ends up in the NFC South, whoever gets him is automatically the second best team in that division, no matter who it is?
Yes.
So, I mean,
I'm taking Deshaun and the Panthers over Jameis and the Saints.
I'm not. Actually, I take that back. They're the third best team unless they go to New Orleans, and then they're possibly the first best team. The first best, I just said.
They're the first best?
Officially announced the Carson Wentz trade. As if we haven't talked about that enough on this podcast.
Yeah, Deshaun
so-
going to Carolina or Atlanta even doesn't make them better than the Saints with Jameis.
It definitely doesn't guarantee them a playoff spot, even in a weakened NFC. So that Deshaun Watson will continue. We covered Baker, not to lean too long. I guess we should actually point out, so Carson Wentz officially traded. The Colts now, as we noted before, are sort of in the Colts and the Seahawks are in monitoring mode for how the dominoes fall here.
I think the Colts actually, sorry to interrupt you. I think the Colts are in a better spot. I feel like they're probably less stressed. The division stinks, and the Seahawks division doesn't stink.
Seahawks are in a great division.
No, they're in a tough division. That's what I mean.
Great division.
Yeah,
The Cardinals have had a rough run in free agency, losing Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, and Chandler Jones. But, you still got the Rams. 49ers, have good odds and could be dangerous. They're still rumored to get Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson somehow. So with the Colts, I think what we've got a trade coming either for Baker or Jimmy G, right? Doesn't that seem like or Matt Ryan? Like, yes. I think that it sounds like Baker's going to be gone. Baker's gone anyway. So,
and it literally seems like the Colts are just waiting out this Deshaun Watson trade, and they're trying to see how the dominoes are going to fall because they've set everything up to bring in a good quarterback. They are not going to let one of their second or third string guys take over and be the starter. They have the most cap space. They're ready to make a trade, and it's just a matter of, hey, who's going to be available? If Deshaun Watson goes to the Browns, boom, Baker Mayfield's gone. If Deshaun goes to the Falcons, boom, Matt Ryan's gone. So
let me ask you this.
And it feels like Jimmy Garoppolo's probably their second or third option, which is probably why we haven't seen a deal between the Colts and San Francisco.
Well, the shoulder stuff too. I don't know. I don't know what to read into that, but
I think that's probably fair.
Mortensen said the thing about the Browns wanted a man in the locker room, whatever they said it, which is an idiotic thing to say out loud. If you're the Browns telling someone that, it's just weird. I'm not a Baker guy, but it just seems like a weird thing to say about a grown man. But knowing that, and knowing what you just came off of with Carson Wentz, are you a little hesitant if you're the Colts, concerned about having someone who might not be mature based on some not random, but Chris Mortensen's report?
Yes. I mean, I think to a degree, but I think the locker room likes Baker, has always liked Baker. I think this is just sort of
except for Duke Johnson.
That's right. Duke Johnson tweeted a crash train emoji because Baker threw him under the bus. All right, so we'll do this quick because this deal will come and we don't want to look like idiots more than we normally do.
Thank you.
Who do you think ends up quarterbacking the Colts and the Seahawks?
I think it comes down to Breech wherever Deshaun Watson goes, because whoever that quarterback was on that team is going. I think Colts is first dibs, and then I don't even know what the Seahawks are. I don't know if the Seahawks are. They don't seem particularly interested. They were in on Deshaun for a while, and it feels like they're no longer. So,
well, he rejected them. He said no.
And I think the other thing, so if Deshaun Watson goes to the Falcons, Atlanta has such a good relationship with Matt Ryan. They're not going to do him wrong. So if the Colts want him, he's going to go to Indy. And it feels like,
what's the money situation going to be though?
The Colts can
the Colts have the most cap space in the NFL, so they'll be able to squeeze. They'll be able to do whatever they need to get.
The Colts are praying that the Colts are like, oh my God, please let Deshaun Watson.
But they don't want to eat the entire contract. Am I right?
I don't think they care.
I don't think they care. Yeah, I think their Super Bowl window is right now.
Wait. Hold on. The Colts,
Matt Ryan's contract?
They would eat that entire contract as opposed to they just lost Rock Yassin or are about to. They have some needs.
They wouldn't give up a bunch of assets at all to get Matt Ryan, and they would just take on the whole contract. And I mean,
but then they can't do anything else, and they don't have any. They don't have a first round pick.
I
bet they split it.
They haven't fixed. I need to refresh this and see if they fixed the restructuring situation. They did. Oh, good job by Spot Track to fix the restructure setup.
All right. So what is it's 27 or something after June 1, or is that changed?
Okay, so his base salary is now 16.25. So I mean 9.3 is the signing bonus has already been paid out.
Okay. Yes. Give me those numbers because I'm thinking about.
I mean, the Colts are going to have to spend because they're going to take a cap hit of 48. I guess take a cap hit of 48 million. Be a dead cap hit for the. Look, Matt Ryan has been to a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. Behind that Colts offensive line, you add another weapon. Freaking go get Julio Jones.
The Colts would not take a cap hit of 28 or 48 million.
Okay, what is it? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The base salary for Matt Ryan is 16.25. $9.3 million is a signing bonus that the Falcons would have to pay out because that's not the Colts' responsibility.
It's already been paid out.
There's also a $7.5 million roster bonus that, depending on when that triggers, I'm guessing the Falcons would want to make. So it'd be at least $9 and then $13 million. That is a restructure. So it would be at least 21 million lower than 48 million. So,
okay. Yeah. So
the highest it would be is 27 million. I'm not sure about the rest of them.
Okay. Well, 27 million is doable because the Steelers 824-ish or whatever for AB. So you can do that. That's a lot better than 48. And you can still, with all the salary cap space, I'm not sure how much more they have left, but it potentially address other needs. But let me ask you this,
the salary cap stuff is like tricky to begin with. Like I was trying to explain some stuff to a buddy. He's like, this is worse than like IRS tax codes. but he also pointed out that like, it's like, it's tough to begin with anyway. And that doesn't count when you start trying to figure out cap hits for people who are traded with multi-time restructured contracts.
That's why I get all my salary cap information from John Breech, LLC. Let me ask you this, Brinson, since you're trying to talk up Matt Ryan as being worth whatever he's worth, is he better than Phil Rivers for the Colts? Because I'm not sure he is.
Yes.
I think it's pretty similar. I mean, me, I'm going to take Rivers, but
Breech didn't hesitate.
I'm taking Matt Ryan any day of the week. Former NFL MVP, been to a Super Bowl.
I just heard that. I mean, so what?
Phil
Cam Newton was an MVP too. He won the Super Bowl as well.
Who?
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Good
he wasn't part of this correlation, though.
Sound like my 10-year-old. Yes. Thank you.
Matt Ryan still produces, though. Cam Newton does not.
I'm trying to figure out. Oh, so we can see the. Let's see. Actually, I think you can see. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the you could do on Spot Track. You can actually execute trades, but I'm not sure if you can publish them and have it show up with the rosters. Anyway, I'll see if I can do that, and I'll update it just to confirm what the number will be for Matt Ryan on that trade.
Ryan, I mean, you can say that Matt Ryan was terrible last year, but when his best running back was a wide receiver and his top receiver was Russell Gage, I mean, like, what do you want from the guy?
Russell Gage, you just signed a big deal with the Buccaneers
to be their number 3 receiver. He was Matt Ryan's number 1 receiver.
Because that's why the Falcons stink.
Yeah, well, that's why Matt Ryan struggled. He didn't really throw to except for Kyle Pitts, and he'd chuck it up. I'm just saying that Matt Ryan didn't exactly have an offensive juggernaut around him last
I didn't hear you saying those kind words about Big Ben last year, who struggled with the similar issues. Jerk.
I would take Matt Ryan over Big Ben this year.
By the way,
Big Ben was playing.
Any comment on the fact that Carson Wentz is wearing a Letterman's jacket in his glamour shot?
What are the Commodores doing sending that out?
Where's the Commodore? I love the Commodores. The 4 tops.
Didn't Carson learn anything from JJ Wentz wearing the Letterman jacket?
Yeah.
JJ Wentz?
It doesn't work out for you.
JJ Wentz.
Are they related? They're not
Carson
related.
on the brain. All right, Debo's trying to get us to do something. What are we doing, Debo?
Oh wait, so who did we pick as the Colts quarterback?
I said whoever.
Wilson said whoever, and that was what I said. So he stole my answer.
I'll
hold on. Debo wants to say something about this Carson Wentz Letterman jacket. It sounds like.
No, I was just trying to get you done the show, Brinson.
I didn't think we were done yet. Do we want to touch on Russell? We're going to talk Russell Wilson later, or talk?
You can talk a little Russ, yeah.
Because there's a little beef brewing.
Oh god,
we got beef. Let me see if I got to find this freaking thing. So the Seahawks, in the middle of Russell Wilson's press conference in Denver, which is standard, they're issuing a press release with statements on the trade, and they're sending out lots of tweets like "Thanks, Russ, you're great," blah blah blah. Here are the statements from Jody Allen, chairman of the Seattle Seahawks. While Russ made it clear he wanted this change, he made Seattle proud, and we are grateful for his decade of leadership on and off the field. Pete Carroll. This has always been a challenging time of year where we've consistently maintained a competitive approach to getting better as a team. As Jody stated, Russ's desire in doing something different afforded the organization an opportunity to compete in multiple ways. Then he has always been the ultimate competitor. And John Snyder, Russell has been a tremendous player, leader, and member of our organization since the day we drafted him in the 3rd round in 2012. Seems unnecessary. His tireless work ethic has helped him make him one of the most successful quarterbacks in NFL history, and we thank him for his many contributions on the field and in the community when it became evident that Russell was interested in playing elsewhere. So all 3 statements put the onus on Russell Wilson, that it was all Russ in wanting to get out of there Russell Wilson was asked about it at his press conference because these statements came out mid-press conference.
Before you read the answer, does anyone dispute that?
Russell Wilson does.
But do you guys think that's all weird to say, given that that's sort of how it was portrayed over the last 12 months?
I feel like what the Seahawks did was kick Russ under the bus a little bit there.
But he's driving the bus he just ran over himself with.
I mean, it sounds like the Seahawks are saying, look, everybody saw he wanted out last year.
Yeah.
Nothing was different to us this year. And Russell Wilson's like playing semantics here where I didn't request anything this year. So, no, I don't agree with them.
Anyway, so tell us what Russ has said, but it better be good because I'm leaning with the side of the management right now.
Russ said it was mutual and then apparently attempted to make a joke and said that like that he's like, we can tell some stories later or something like that. So it was,
his exact quote was, I didn't initiate it. It was definitely mutual along the way. There's definitely been a lot of conversations. It hasn't been I initiated anything, but it is what it is. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. That's all I know.
So just explain something to me. Who released the 4 teams that Russ was willing to be traded to hypothetically last spring?
oh man, by the way, I finally figured it out. I'm slow with tech.
Just get back to that in a second. Just answer my question. Let's stay on the Russ thing for a second. Who leaked out the 4 teams that Russ hypothetically want to be traded to?
Mark Rogers, Russ's agent.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What is Russ talking about?
Russ is initiating. The Seahawks did not want to trade Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson said, I don't want to play here anymore. I want you to trade me.
Just own it, man. Just be like, yeah, I wanted out of there because they weren't doing what I said. And you would respect that a lot more than some robot saying a bunch of weird stuff. All right, go ahead with your trade stuff.
Matt Ryan, you're good. Thank you for calling me out, Breech, because Matt Ryan's cap hit for the Indianapolis Colts, $16.25 million.
I mean, that's
even lower.
That's a layup.
That's easy. I mean, that's what you want if you're the Colts.
Here's the thing, Breech. You were off by $10 million and you were still $40 million.
No, I said it was 27 or lower, but I didn't know the exact
I was just
number.
swapping cap hits, which is like an idiot thing to do, obviously.
And you know what? If I'm the Falcons, I almost step in to or if I'm the Colts, I almost step in to help facilitate the trade between the Texans and the Falcons. Like, you know what? We'll give the Texans one of the first round picks, and the Falcons give up 2.
Well, you give him a second. You're like, hey, look, we'll throw a second in there. You send us Matt Ryan. You send Deshaun to Atlanta.
Right. Because that's a steal if you're the Colts.
Speaking of stealing,
I think you take Matt Ryan over.
Twitter.
You definitely take him over Baker just because of the concerns with Baker's shoulder, number 1, and then the way he's leaving Cleveland, number 2, whether it's fair or not. And Matt Ryan, I mean, the worst thing you say about him is I don't even know what the worst thing you say about him. He can't run a 4 or 5.40, I guess. But yeah, that feels like a great fit. So I'm changing my answer.
Thanks, Wilson.
All right,
Team Ryan. Team Ryan.
Yeah, so the important takeaway was that Brinson, as you explained to us earlier, Matt Ryan's redo hadn't gone through yet, so that made things eminently easier.
Yeah,
for what's about to happen.
Right, and it's $13 million in cap space in dead cap money for the Falcons, and saves the. I would think it saves the Colts some money.
And then for 2023, under the original contract, assuming that doesn't get restructured, Matt Ryan is only a $20.5 million base salary and then a $7.5 million roster bonus, but that's not due until the league year starts next year. So the Colts could get out of the contract for $0 if they don't like what he does in 2022.
There you go. All right. One thing, you know what? Probably should just end the show, huh?
Let's see if you can do it.
Well, I was going to point out the Titans overtime.
There it is. You can't do it.
Oh, we love overtime now.
Couldn't do it.
I mean, let's talk about.
You know what? You can bring it up because I have an overtime proposal that I wanted to bring up. It only take 10 seconds.
Yeah. By the way, make sure and join the Pick Six podcast bracket contest. CBSSports.com/Pick6Brackets. Link is in the chat and in the episode description. You can play against me, Wilson and Breech, and others, friends of the show. $100 Paramount Plus gift card to the winner. The Titans, the NFL pros rule changes came through, and it was really weird. Like only 2 of them came from the teams. Usually it's like 12 for the owners' meetings, but multiple teams requested a change to overtime, particularly in the playoffs, to give both teams a possession. The Titans actually proposed a separate rule change in which the team who possesses the ball first in overtime, and I don't remember if it was playoff or both regular and playoff, but either way, it doesn't matter. And the team who possesses the ball first has the option, if they score a touchdown, to go for 2. And if they successfully convert the 2-point conversion, they win. The game is over. If they don't, the other team gets a possession and then can go down and score a touchdown and kick a field goal to win the game. I think it's awesome. I love that idea.
Now kick an extra point.
Kick an extra point. Yes.
I love that the Titans' solution for both teams not getting a possession is for both teams not to get a possession. Well, if the first team that gets the ball first scores a touchdown and gets a 2-point conversion, you're still back at the original problem that everyone has an issue with.
At some point, you got to figure that out.
Well,
I mean,
I don't disagree, but I just think I like the proposal. I'm just saying that the problem, the reason people are proposing things is because they think both teams should get a possession, and that doesn't fix the biggest complaint. I like this proposal.
But I think a 2-point conversion from the 2-yard line is not, it's what, a 50-50, 53-47 proposition. Like it's asking you, how many NFL coaches right now would definitely go for 2 in all their spots? I think
Brandon Staley
maybe. It also depends on your defense. Like, how good is your defense and who are you playing on the other side? It brings a lot of strategy into it. And
a couple things. I don't think both teams need possessions in overtime. That doesn't make sense to me. They do better with your possessions in regulation, number one. Number two, because every week we talk about all these teams that waste possessions, number one. Number two, it feels slightly unfair if you're the team. Oh, so here's what can happen. So if you score first in overtime, you can just kick an extra point, but that means the other team's going to get the possession. So that in that case, you're taking the risk. I thought you had to go for 2 no matter what, but you don't, right?
If you go for 2 and get it, game over. If you go for 2 and miss, the other team gets the ball.
No, but if you just kick an extra point, then the other team gets the ball also.
Right, correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can kick and then and then the other team.
I thought you had to go for 2, and then the other team come down and kick the extra point, score a touchdown and win.
So I mean, I get your point, Breech. Like you could theoretically, it's like, well, they couldn't our defense couldn't stop the 2-point conversion either. I mean,
here's an idea.
Our defense was so tired from the whole entire game, then getting on the field first to start to overtime. How are we supposed to stop a 2-pointer?
Invest some money, invest some research.
No, I'm just saying that's what the complaint is, that both teams don't get
that's a terrible
possession,
complaint.
and this complaint is so good either.
Stop answering questions about Carson Wentz or in the chat whether the pick six.
You know what though, Brinson, you mentioned the 2-point conversion is a 50% play, so basically you have a 50% chance of winning or losing. You know what else is a 50% play?
A coin flip.
A 55-yard field goal. I think that in overtime, the team that gets the ball first should be able to end the game on a field goal, but only if the field goal is from 55 yards or longer.
No.
You don't like that? Come on.
That favors teams with good field goal kickers.
Then sign a good field goal kicker.
The Chargers will never win another game.
Well, no, you can still win in overtime with a touchdown or with whatever else. You just have the option. The team that gets the ball first can end it on a field goal.
You're trying to make field goal
only
kickers
if it's from 55 yards or longer.
Hard pass. Next proposal.
I love
that's it.
Be honest, that's the best proposal I've ever heard on this podcast.
If he punts the ball 80 yards on 4th down, then they get 2 points.
Well, no, because if you have Matt Ariza, then you automatically get the 2 points every time. You don't want that.
Hey, you guys are going to make this show run over an hour. I'm not going to let that happen with your asinine arguments. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, announced by ESPN, will be
We're not allowed to talk about other networks. We got to go.
I think it's crazy. I mean, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman doing Monday Night Football on ESPN. I mean, go back 2 years and tell somebody that. You'd never believe it. Very excited to hear those guys on that call. Very excited to be back with you guys shortly, I'm sure, for Deshaun Watson Emergency Podcast. So make sure to hit subscribe, hit alerts. We will see you guys
in 4 hours.
Probably in like 4 hours or so. For Breech, for Wilson, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys.